this computer. All right, so now we are recording. So this will be on my website later on. In any
Great.
event, why don't you guys fill me in on what you do, where you're from, how long you've been doing this, where you plan on going?
Yeah. So we're Bohemia Screen Printing. We are based in Bel Air, Michigan. We actually just took this over from a couple in January. They started out in Calumet, Michigan at the base of Mount Bohemia, and that's where it got its name. And they were primarily just working with gift shops and doing some custom stuff on the side. And we've just kind of taken over that since January. So we've mostly been doing bulk orders with gift shops this summer and just kind of taking over that clientele base and just trying to build that up from there.
So are you guys going to be producing your own line as well, or just really custom work more than anything else?
Eventually, I'd like to. We do have a spring line, so we'll go in the spring and pitch to all the gift shops our spring line. So we come up with those designs and that type of thing. And then they'll take from there and kind of change them. Sometimes they'll do name drops, stuff like that, just to kind of make them unique. And then eventually I'd like to start doing our own stuff and expand to e-commerce, just so we can kind of compete with the gift shops and sell at those types of prices as well.
So explain each of your roles to me. I know the two of you are obviously married and the owners. So what's your role? What's Matt's role?
So actually, he's my dad.
Okay.
Yeah. So the third person in the photo was my mom, Jackie.
Okay.
So they're married. They own the business. She has a full-time job, so she helps out when she can. But she has, a separate job. We are here full-time doing this. I'm a production manager, so I do all of the printing, all of the ink mixing, everything basically on the floor. And he's in here in the office doing the ordering and, helping me on the floor and everything else behind the scenes, basically. And I'm doing artwork and like that type of thing.
So, so it's just the two of you for the most part right now.
Yes.
And you have what kind of equipment?
So we've got a manual press and an automatic. We're doing strictly screen printing right now. We do offer embroidery, but we're farming that out. We don't do that in-house.
What automatic are you working with?
We've got an M&R. I don't know the exact model,
how many heads?
6 heads, 8 stations.
8 stations. Okay.
Yes.
Terrific. And you've been doing this since January.
We have been doing this since January. I've been in the industry and printing for about 4 years now. I started out in underground in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And that's a big operation. I worked there for almost a year, and then I switched and I worked at a super small, not really a family business. It was just a super small screen printing shop in Portland, Michigan. Worked there for about a year, and then we took over for here. So I've been doing it, when I was going to stuff in the industry classes and seminars and things before that. And my uncle had some equipment and I was doing some stuff before that. So I've been around the stuff, but this is our first time actually owning and running this type of stuff.
Terrific. I mean, that's really good. At least you have some background as opposed to what some people do where they buy out a shop, have no clue as to what they're doing. They're being trained by owners who probably know less than they do, even though they know nothing, and find themselves in desperate situations pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So at least you have a background, even if it's not as as an owner, at least you do have some production background.
Yeah.
That's good. So I obviously you guys were at the show. What'd you get out of going to that?
I found it very helpful. I really enjoy the classes specifically. We wandered around the show floor and there were some things that we were interested in, but I felt like the classes were most beneficial for me. I took a couple of the financial ones. I took a social media one that was super beneficial. I just take a lot of stuff out of that. there was so many things. I took a ton out of your class and like that type of stuff that we can just implement here. There's so much that I don't know about the business. I tend to stay away from production based things because I know a lot of production stuff, whereas I don't know a lot of the business end stuff. So I try to focus a lot of my energy in places where I don't know as much. So that's kind of what I took a lot out of at the expo.
You know, the only show that's actually quote unquote somewhat close to you is the DAX show. I don't know if you've ever gone to that one. So that one will be held in Tinley Park, which is a suburb of Chicago. And we haven't gotten the schedule on it yet, but it's usually in April.
Okay.
And it's a very small show, 2 days, far smaller than what you went to. The only good thing is Scott does put on a number of classes and workshops, generally the day before the show. And you have a lot of time to spend with the vendors that are there, which is kind of a good thing. Pretty nice show. It's actually my favorite show. He does 3 of those, one in Minnesota, one in Kansas City, and then one in Chicago. And probably encourage you to go to that one since it's just a drive down.
We actually think going to the one in Minnesota in March, right?
Minnesota's in March. Yeah, February is Kansas City, Minnesota March, and generally Chicago is April, although it could be the very end of March as well.
Yeah.
Haven't gotten his schedule yet, but he does. I think he does a really good job. It's a more personal situation. You know, if you're really into going to a massive show, the January show in Long Beach is absolutely the best screen print show in the world. And at this point, probably the biggest as far as really focused on garments more than anything else. Usually draws somewhere around 20 to 25,000 people.
Wow.
And classes there are pretty much repeated in Atlantic City and possibly down in Fort Worth, although the those who head the show now are fairly new. They've kind of cleaned out house and put in all new people. And so they're kind of using the Fort Worth show on a different level than the other 2. Kind of interesting though. So if you were going to go to a show again, what classes would you be looking for?
The next time we go to a show, we definitely want to do, as we talked about in Fort Worth, we definitely missed out on the opportunity to do the full day class with you with the screen printing and stuff. That's what I really wanted them to go to, was the full day, actually like physically screen printing, and that hands-on kind of training. So that's really what we'd be looking for. And then I think for me, just anything new material. So like anything social media, financial based business, marketing, anything that like is that kind of based. I'm always, willing to learn more about that stuff. So I think for me, I'm very interested in that type of stuff.
Okay. Well, I know for January and for the Atlantic City show, which is in March, they're doing 2 workshops. They're doing a basic one the day before, and I'm going to be doing a special effects workshop the first day of the show, which is going to be a slew of stuff. I haven't narrowed it down yet, but anything from puff to glitter to discharge, glow in the dark, thermochromatic, photochromatic, high density, which would be blister base and gels. Things that seem to be coming back right now. Special effects seem to come and go periodically. They were in for a long time, then they kind of drifted away. Everybody got into water base heavily. You guys doing much in the way of water base or not?
Yeah, so everything we do is water based, and we are very heavy into the discharge as well.
Okay. good place to be right now. I think it is anyway. Some of the other inks are mostly plastisol based, but not totally. The thermochromatic and photochromatic can go in any direction. Same thing with puff. There is water-based puff. There's plastisol puff. I'm not sure if anybody's even selling water-based puff right now. If there is, it would be a company in California that specializes glow in the dark and stuff, and they do both plastisol and water-based. Lots of different water-based. I don't know if you're familiar with them. I'll get you the name. I have to pull it up. It starts with an A,
Okay.
and I could never remember it.
Okay.
But they're in the LA area, and they definitely have the best glow in the dark, both discharge and standard water-based glow in the dark, and a fair amount of other interesting inks. The name will come to me. I'm terrible when it comes to names.
Yeah, you're good.
Anyway, so doesn't look like we're going to get a whole lot of activity right now, but oh well. So what's your take on which direction to go as far? Obviously you're going to stay with water-based. Are you going to put in any other plastisol or anything, or just strictly water-based and go that way?
So we've had some instances where we've ordered some plastisol and played around with it. We've had some customers that want polyester garments.
Yeah.
And that's difficult to navigate with the water-based. We have printed water-based on polyester garments, and like discharge, and it has worked. I just don't know the longevity of it. So we have played around a little bit with plastisol. I'm open to it. Before we took over in January, I was strictly a plastisol printer. So I have lots of experience with it. I'm not opposed to plastisol printing, but I do definitely like the way that the water-based works and the effects that you get with the discharge and that type of stuff. So
I think you're going to find on performance where you're going to probably have to go to plastisol, like it or not. The other ink that's worth looking at is also silicone. Although silicone is really expensive and very short shelf life. Once you mix it, it's hours before it sets up, as opposed to, they keep telling me up to 3 days. I've yet to get past day one.
Jeez.
It's just one of those type of things. It has some great properties to it and qualities to it, but it's probably twice the cost of plastisol.
Wow.
And unless you have customers who are willing to pay, it's probably not worth jumping into it unless you have a very definite reason.
Right.
You're doing predominantly vector work. Are you doing any raster imaging or not?
Not right now. Most of the designs that I do for our spring line, I try to keep them pretty simple, pretty basic. It's for the gift shop industry, so they don't have to be too out of the box, I find. So I try to just keep everything vectorized, easy, simple, a lot of text, a lot of stuff like that. And then when people come to us with custom stuff, I'm just vectorizing their logos and like stuff like that. So
okay. Yeah, it's too bad that Dane got sick and you weren't able to take any classes with him.
yeah.
He's quite good. Matter of fact, I got him into not in the industry. Back when I needed somebody, I had him come and work with me. And that's how we kind of got into speaking. He was assisting me in my workshop. And I'd have him do a song and dance on artwork to begin with. And eventually they realized that he was pretty good at it. And so they asked him if he'd do his own workshop, which was good for him and bad for me, because then I had to go and find somebody else, which I had. So they make me do all the work on my own now. Not any fun.
Funny. Yeah, I was signed up for I think a couple classes with him in Fort Worth, and then I was bummed we got there and it said canceled across the board. So
You know, if you go to his website, it's greatdanegraphics.com, like the dog. He put out a book a long time ago called Artwork Simplified. And he put out two versions. One was an Adobe version, one was a Corel version. He doesn't offer the book anymore. He only offers it as a download. But I think it's $29.95 or something like that. Get the book.
okay.
It'll definitely show you a huge amount of shortcuts on, and it's very specific to screen print versus just Photoshop or Illustrator in general. I assume you're using, are you on those or on Corel?
We're in Corel.
You're on Corel. Then get his Corel book.
Okay.
And he definitely, he had to learn Corel in order to write it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which was kind of interesting because he was always an Adobe person, but
yeah,
he definitely did a good job on it. And it's certainly worth having it available. He definitely shows a lot of ways of saving time and energy.
okay.
That's always good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Matt, are you going to learn some of this stuff, or are you just going to be front office and handling the books?
No, I've been learning a little bit here. This winter, we're going to do some practicing. I have done some printing when she's been out of the office or whatever. So, I mean, I know the basics of it. I know how to do it. Not as good as her, obviously, but, and I haven't run the automatic yet either. So no, that's all stuff we're going to work on this winter.
Oh, the automatic is easy. You slide the shirt on, you pull the shirt off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In between, not a whole lot. Actually, printing manually, I think, has a lot more skill involved. Printing on an automatic, you know, getting your color order right, getting some pressure and angles right is certainly part of it. Definitely a bit of a learning curve, but not a terrible one. And for someone your age, you probably want to be on the automatic. It's a whole lot less stress.
Right.
Yeah.
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 You know,
Yeah.
the clients that I have that have gotten on the older side have all bought automatics just for that reason, not because they want to go faster, just because they don't want to do the actual physical work to the extent that you have to if you're printing manually.
Right. Yeah, we've actually started switching over more of our stuff to the automatic because we have the equipment. The
Right.
previous owner did a lot by hand just because he was doing smaller orders, but we picked up some clients that, you know, one of the orders was, you know, 1,400 shirts. So
Yeah.
we're getting more, you know, if it's over a certain amount of shirts, we're starting to go towards the automatic because then it's a lot less work for Lila and things go quicker. And
Yeah, I mean, I know companies that are using their automatic for every job. Doesn't matter what it is, just because it's more consistent and less stress. And the setup is really not tremendously different. You just have a little bit more to put on, squeegees, flood bar, but registration is still registration, and so that doesn't really change dramatically. And the only difference is the size of your screens. You're using bigger screens on the automatic than you do on your manual. Although a lot of shops are going over to one size screen for everything now. And this way they can switch from the automatic to the manual or the other direction in case they have to just do a fill-in. They can throw that on the manual without having to reshoot a job.
yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if there's anything you guys want to chat about. I'm kind of
Do you have anything you want to?
Well, I mean, there's all kinds of things that we can chat about.
this is your time to put it out there. Go for it.
Yeah, because we're definitely still learning. You know, we got a long ways to go, but just you know, just with the discharges and stuff, just some of the issues we've been having along the way in the water base. You know, with the garments and trying to make things look, and I don't really know, she knows more about it than I do, obviously, the way things should properly look, but like, we'll do some discharge and it looks great on one shirt, and we'll do it on another and it doesn't look so great. So,
yeah, well, water base is like that. I mean, especially discharge. You switch from one brand to another brand, or even within a brand. If it's made in one country for one shirt, and then same brand but different country, totally different finished product.
well, that's what I've been. Yeah, we've noticed that even from sizes within a same order, from different sizes of shirts, even.
Yeah, you really have to look at the label, because a company like Alden, for example, produces in Honduras, they produce in Dominican Republic, they produce over in the Asian market as well. And so, although you're getting a Alden label, you're not getting from the same dye house, you're not getting the same dye lots. And so there's a huge variation that can occur. I've got shirts from Alden that had their gray goods were gray, but I've also gotten them from them where their gray goods were tan.
Right.
And so you end up with a very, very different finished product.
Yeah, we've been noticing that. So,
yeah, you know, during the pandemic, especially, just getting garments was the big challenge. You didn't care where they came from or anything else. And I think that the garment companies have taken advantage of that and continue to still do that, where they'll mix it from different countries or different lots. And in the past, or prior to the pandemic, they didn't do that. And you know, discharge showing it more than water base.
Yeah, that's it definitely acts different on a lot of different things. So
yeah, you almost have to go in with your clients and let them know that, you know, if they want a discharge job, here's the up and the down of it. You know, the positive is it's going to come out very soft after they wash it. The downside is from one print to the next, it could look a bit different.
So then do you just, it's hard because it's like when we get in that situation, we just feel like we need to fix them. Like we just fix them like almost like on our dime. And it's like, it's hard because like we'll get replacements from the manufacturer, because it's like, it's not really our fault, but then sometimes I'll have to go reset back up or say, you know.
I totally understand. And I think that's the thing is, you know, you need to cover yourself in terms of not doing stuff that isn't your fault.
Right.
And so, you know, anytime you have someone who you're going to do discharge work for, I think it's really important to have that in your terms and conditions, and that things can vary from dye lot to dye lot. Not your responsibility, you know, and if it's something that they can't deal with, then you shouldn't be doing discharge on it. You should be doing a standard, you know, either a high opacity water base or depending on the color of the garment, just a standard water base, and you won't get that variation. But as soon as you go to discharge, you will potentially have a variation. And I think just making them aware of it. Do you have samples up on your wall of like back-to-back prints, same company, same label, two different finishes?
We don't know.
You should. You know, those are things that you need to have at your fingertips so that you can. Trying to explain it to a customer after the fact sounds like you're just trying to cover yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
Having it up on the wall and pointing it out in advance, you've now basically exonerated yourself from having to do the extra work and the extra expense on something that you had no control over. And so, you know, if it were me, I would certainly have examples up on the wall, and not just one, I'd have several.
Okay.
Even to the point, you know, when you go to discharge some of the blue shirts, they don't discharge properly. And so some blues do, some blues don't. I don't know if you've run into that.
Mm-hmm.
okay, you run into it, get it up on your wall. Showing your good side is really important. Also showing things that are realistic, I think, are really important, so that it's not like you're trying to give them a song and dance at the end.
Right. Yeah, because I think that's super frustrating for me. We do have one customer that demands 6210s every time, but he wants discharge printing on it, and they will not discharge to save my life. Like, they don't look good, and it sucks. I hate sending them out like that. They never say anything. They're always happy with them, but I hate the way they look, because I know on a 3600 or 3001 with that full cotton, it would look a million times better. So it's just frustrating having that. But I guess if you have that in place where they know ahead of time, that back to back, and we've sent samples to them as well so they can see the difference, but they just don't want to switch. So
they don't want the all cotton because they like the sports shirt,
right,
is what it
Yeah.
is. They're bicyclists and they want the sports shirt.
Having worked with a bunch of companies over the years, there are some companies like when I work with Andy Anderson, who I do consider the best printer in the country. When he does full color process, he will only do it on certain brands and certain garments and won't touch the others. And if you want it on the others, he basically says you need to go somewhere else because I'm not going to do it. He has a reputation that he wants to uphold, as everybody should. And if you know it's going to create a problem, don't do it.
right,
You don't want to lose an account, but at the same time, you also don't want to be in a position where you're taking money out of your pocket to appease someone that you've already informed it's not going to work the correct way. No one wants to lose an account, but at the same time, you hate to put work out that it could come back and haunt you.
oh, there we go.
There
It
you go.
froze.
I was going to say, you guys are able to really keep it going, huh? Okay.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I get messages on mine saying my computer is not stable at the moment. It's like, I know. What are you going to do?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, if you ever want to do any kind of raster images, let me know. I can send you some to play with.
Okay, yeah,
I think that, I think a lot of people miss out on that. Doing vector images or what everybody does, which is both good and bad. The bad is everybody does it. And when you can take a logo, and not that you're going to take a school logo and transform it into something new for them, but if they're the Wildcats and you can do something for one of the clubs or one of the teams using a raster image versus just the 2-color vector image, they get off pretty well on that. They get pretty excited about those things just because it's different. You're not infringing on the school's copyright or anything, because you're not trying to, you're just using a image of the same animal.
right. Right. Yeah, no, I'm definitely open to it, because right now I'm basically just self-taught corral. I have taken several classes. I went to the Graphics Pro in Indianapolis, and then I went to the Fort Worth show. And so I've taken classes with Clay and Dave from the corral trainers. So I have learned a ton from them. I love them. They're great. But I am pretty much self-taught outside of that, and like YouTube and stuff. Like, I don't have a lot of artwork background or training or anything like that.
Yeah, most people coming into this industry don't.
Right.
Everyone has to learn it because it's part of your day-to-day, and you basically learn the fundamentals, unless you're an art person. You stick with the fundamentals for the most part. And the problem with that is everybody else is doing the fundamentals as well.
Yeah.
And so, even if you don't get to sell a raster image, having a set of progressive proofs up on the wall where they can see how the image came together. And, even for your own self-promo, doing a raster image and giving it out, not a bad idea. I don't know if you guys do a whole lot of in-house self-promo.
We don't currently. We do like a little bit, but not a lot.
We had the whole client base that came with the business, so and plus picking up some others along the way. We've been pretty busy just trying to keep them happy and,
right.
Figuring out this whole business. We had 30 days with the previous owner, and like he did that back before we actually started doing spring orders.
Okay.
So once his 30 days is up, he was gone, and we haven't seen him since. So it's been pretty tough. He wasn't here when we really needed him, I guess. And I never, that wasn't something we thought about ahead of time, but like, just through the ordering process, to counting in shirts, to the printing, to the whole thing, we've been learning this all as we go. So, it's been a bit of a challenge, but, we've been getting a handle. We made a few mistakes along the way, but, we've been pretty tied up. We have done a few samples here and there. We send them out to, businesses that we think might take some stuff. And, but other than that, we don't really do any self, promo.
So are most of your customers walk-in, or do they do everything over the internet, or do they do everything on phone calls?
Basically, everything is all by email. All of our customers, most of our customers are hundreds of miles away.
I was going to say, from where you are, you probably don't have a huge amount of walk-in traffic.
No, we have our neighbors across the road that do they're home builders. And we have another business uptown here, coffee, breakfast shop. And, those are the only two that we've had walk in here. So
what other businesses are up in your area? How big is, I don't know anything about the town that you're in. I mean, I've been up north, but not to where you are.
Yeah, there's a few up there. Shorts Brewing, they're huge up here. And he's got quite a deal uptown there, but there's quite a few businesses right in town, Bel Air, that, it's a pretty popular place. And
okay.
A lot of people, shopping in the summertime and stuff.
Do you have competitors in your area, or not much?
We do have one competitor that I know of in this immediate area, but they don't do like they don't really do screen printing. She does like heat press vinyl stuff.
Okay.
And then we have two across the way that one does embroidery and the other one does, again, like heat press vinyl, stuff like that. So they focus on like schools and people that are not really what we're focused on. So I don't know that I'd really say competition. Yeah.
Doesn't
and
sound like it.
Yeah, and like Shorts in town, they have a huge gift shop market. I'd love to get wrapped up with them, and I actually used to work there. But I believe that they're tied with Underground. Like I think they have a contract, so like Underground, it prints all of their stuff. So I don't know if we could get in there, but there are some other businesses in town that we could reach out to and have thought about. We did drop off some samples to other more local businesses to us. But that's something that we really want to focus on this winter. We're coming up on our slow season. So this winter, we'd like to focus on like training, and coming up with new samples, new ideas, new artwork, and then getting those samples out to people before spring, or during the spring, so that people are prepped and ready to go when they're ordering, and give us a chance basically before they're ordering with all their normal vendors. So
I actually did print for a living, and back in my day, I know it sounds, I mean, I've been doing consulting for a long time, but I was a printer first. We used to do an open house every year where we would set up our machines, do it on a Friday. Of course, back in those days, we could still do cocktails. Today, you can't really do cocktails, but you can certainly do, finger foods, etc. And we would invite not only our clients, but also prospective clients, and have them come in and print their own shirt.
Oh, cool.
But we would take them through the whole process of from the art department to the screen department to the production area, what it takes to register a job, and then have them print their own shirt. And it's really surprising how much business you get out of something as simple as that. Most people don't understand what goes into a print to begin with. The idea, I mean, I had a pretty large client in Istanbul, and they printed for Nike and Adidas. So when they did their first open house, they invited Nike, Adidas, and a bunch of others. And so Nike had to fly them in from Holland. Adidas had to fly them in from Germany, all their designers in from Germany, etc. Amazing how these designers had never printed a shirt. They designed for it and all. So, you know, their highlight was doing a one color print because they got to do it. And, you know, you're thinking, really, you work for Adidas and Nike, and this is what's exciting you is a one color deal. And the reality is, yeah, it really did excite them. People get off on something that they've never done, and it makes them think. And so if you do pursue anything, put together like a simple 1 or 2 color job, something that may not your logo, but something that's more universal, maybe from the area, whatever, you know, where anybody could wear it and be comfortable in it rather than pushing your own logo on everyone. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have your logo somewhere on it, on a sleeve or whatever, or, you know, a back label print, things that would get them to think about, hey, I wouldn't mind having my name on the back when I have something else on the front, you know, just that label thing. It's really not even a gamble. I mean, basically, you know, easy enough to get a bunch of shirts in house, easy enough to put it together. Friday afternoon, you know, some coffee, some soda, whatever, some finger food, and invite those companies that you know you really want to go after, making sure that you're not hitting into their busy time, and really pursue it. If it were me, you know, the fact that you're doing water-based, I think is great. You know, the big trick to water-based obviously is keeping it going. And it's really not that difficult. Once you're actually up and running, having a bunch of people there, it's a little different.
Right.
Not very, you know, some glass cleaner and you're open and back in business immediately. I think, you know, if I were going to do it, I'd probably do a discharge print. And the reason I would is because it's almost like magic. You know, it
Yeah.
goes in one way and it comes out the other way. And so it kind of blows people away.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They love watching the discharge prints. And like, I haven't gotten too far into the social media, but even on social media, or like, we have had people, family members and friends and stuff come visit the shop, and they'll watch me while I'm printing and stuff. I'll be printing and he'll be showing them around and stuff. And they love the discharge printing. They think it's so cool. Like, they love seeing it when I'm doing it, and then they'll run to the end of the dryer and watch it come out, and they love it. So yeah, that's definitely a great idea.
I would do that. And I would probably, you have a transfer machine there?
We have the heat press.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you do a 2-color job. You do discharge and you do a plastisol, and then you foil it. And the foil will only stick to the plastisol. Whose discharge are you working with?
Matsui.
Okay. So Matsui has a softener or a softening agent that you add into your ink, double that. So if you double it, foil can't stick to the print because the softening agent is silicone. And so by doubling your silicone, nothing will stick to it. So this way you can do an intricate design, take your foil, wrinkle it up. Have you done foil before?
I have done foil once. I went to like an Atlas screen printing class down in Nashville, and we did foil once. We printed it and then sent it through the dryer, and then we put the foil over it, heat pressed it, pulled it off, and it was done. But it was only a one color, like we didn't print anything first.
All right, so you'll shoot me your email address. I'll send you, you can go to A Magic. Kevin is his name, and you can tell him that you're in my workshop, and can he send you some samples of foil and tell him what kind of color. He's got 250 foils, so tell him that you want particular colors. They don't have to be specific, but can you send me a blue? Can you send me a green? Can you send me a gold, etc.? Kevin will send it out to you. He'll send you probably half a dozen rolls.
Wow. Okay.
So what you'll do with your foil, the difficult thing with foil is to make it look perfect. So if you take the foil and wrinkle the hell out of it, it's always perfect.
Right.
Because you don't mind having the color come through. So if you had white plastisol, let's say, and you use a red foil and wrinkled it, you'll get some white coming through it. Looks great. Every shirt will be similar, but no two shirts will be the same, and you'll never have a misprint. But if you try and lay that, let's say, red foil down perfectly, the only way to really kind of do that is to use red plastisol underneath so that it kind of matches, not worth the aggravation. So when you foil, what you would do, when I foil, I go with 360 degrees for about 8 seconds with pretty good pressure. Let it cool, peel it, and then put a Teflon sheet over it and press it down again for about 1 or 2 seconds. You lose a little bit of the shine, but it will hold up in the wash.
Okay.
And the name of the company is A Magic. They're out of California. Kevin Michaels is his name, and he'll be happy to send you foil.
Okay. When you're doing that, can it be any type of plastisol base, or does it need to be a specific?
Could be any kind of plastisol. You generally want a high opacity plastisol because it sits up a little bit more. You want to use probably an 86 to a 110 mesh.
Okay.
For your adhesive. You should have plenty of 110 on hand.
Yeah.
And when you print, you give it one hard stroke, one very gentle stroke, so you leave a lot of ink on top.
Okay.
And other than that, you should have a fun time with it. Foil is definitely a great way to get into getting people excited, because especially women, if you're doing anything for cheerleaders or dance or any of that stuff, bling is definitely one of the things that sells heavily. You know, you get an extra $1.50 a print that way. And more than the money, it definitely gets excitement going.
Right. Yeah.
All right. You know what? Give me your email address.
So you have the work one, right? Or no?
I'm not, yeah, I do. I have the one that I sent you. Never mind, I have that one.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll send you Kevin's information.
Okay, sweet. Thank you.
All right, I think I'm gonna call it a day.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for being on. If you guys want to get a recap of this, you can go on my website. It'll probably be up in the next 3 days or so. And other than that, if you have questions or anything I can help with, don't hesitate to shoot me a line.
Okay.
Awesome.
And I'd like to see you down the road at one of the shows.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you so much.
Terrific. Thanks. Have a good one now.
Thanks, Charlie.
Bye.